Just a minute. Ow. Stupid thing. Ouch. Right. It's going to be one of those days. It's already been one of those days. Oh. Welcome back to codyTV. I'm Cody. Same as always. Let's see. It's about 9:18. Got plenty of time for this. Talking about cancer again. Do I do anything else? Tonight we're talking about neuropathy. There we go. Honestly, I want to start out with by saying that it's kind of difficult to figure out which is worse, cancer or the neuropathy that comes as a side effect of chemotherapy. You did not see that part. You saw nothing. Right. I mean, of course, nobody wants to get diagnosed with cancer. Nobody. I didn't want to. And I'm pretty sure every other person in existence never wanted to. But once you start going through the treatments that you need to, you kind of wonder which is worse. Is the cancer the worst part? Or is it what they do for treatment that's even worse? Because once you start going through something like radiation or chemo, you kind of wonder which is worse. I've never had radiation myself. I never have. Thank you, God. But chemo is not fun either. Um, and unfortunately, a side effect of that is neuropathy, which is tonight's subject. Uh, Neuropathy can make you feel quite useless, where your hands and your feet and part of your legs are concerned. It does not mean that you should stop fighting. It just means that you're going to have a rough time. For example, my hands, they they've been almost useless for the last two 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 and a half months now, perhaps. It's hard to tell. But when I was losing feeling in them, I think it took about maybe 2 weeks before I had feeling in them, and I was able to do things with them to until they got to the point where I really couldn't do much of anything. Could not hold a pencil, couldn't hold a pair of clippers, nail clippers like these. Could not even hold a paintbrush. Um, Trying to make your hands work and trying to make your fingers work so you can hold anything is hard enough to do. I try to flex my fingers the best I can sometimes, and try to, if for nothing else, try to keep the circulation going. It's just kind of like ball them up and then relax, ball them up and relax. I do this a lot. I may not be able to feel them, but I know that I'm doing it, and it's all. These are all pins and needles, and like tiny, tiny shards of glass stabbing into my hands from the inside out. You know, if that makes any sense. My hands are all sensation now. There's no real solid touching anything. I have to guess that my mind, I have to use my mind to make sure that to guess that I'm holding something, picking something up with a solid grip. I'm having to guess at that because I can't really trust my hands to give me the right give me the right signals to tell me that yes, you are grabbing something solid and you have a solid grip on it, and you're not going to drop it, because I've already had enough problems with dropping things thinking that I have a grip on them. Take for example this bottle. Okay, if it did not have this design, and I've got a hand under it here, so if it didn't have this design, and if I wasn't able to put, like my index finger and my thumb around the top so that I can have a good solid hold on it, I wouldn't be able to hold it. So, and another way to do it is to have your hand under the bottom of it and put this hand up here so that you can, direct where you're going to go with this, when you're going to take a drink. So, see, but most of the time I'll just try to hold it from up here. So that works too. Uh, when I drive, I don't. I tend to use my cruise control a lot these days because I can't trust my feet. My feet are just as dead in feeling as my hands are, and I don't have to use my left foot at all. But when you're having to use the right foot for gas and brake, you really don't want to make the mistake of thinking that you're not going over the speed limit. Especially when your feet are as bad off as your hands are. My feet are all sensation. They stab and they hurt and they sting just as much as my hands do. I can't even tell that I'm standing on the ground or walking on the ground. It's all sensation down there too. My feet feel nothing. I feel nothing under my feet. I'm having to assume that I'm walking on the ground and the ground is underneath them. It's all sensation. And whether you trust that or not, you have to work that out for yourself. I've had to work it out for myself too. But if your car has cruise control and if you can use it, and if you trust yourself enough to use it, um, it's really not a bad idea. Just be be ready to use it a lot for school zones, and be sure to try to slow it down when it comes to those 20-mile-an-hour zones, man. You don't want to take a chance with cops giving you a ticket for speeding. I try to keep my speed programmed. My speed programmed all the time when I use my cruise control. And for the most part, it really works. And you get to save some gas when you're doing that. My dad pointed that out to me. And these last couple of times that last couple of times that he's pointed it out to me, I really paid attention. It's like, yeah, it does work. He's right about that. So okay, good on you, old man. I shouldn't say old man too much. I'm kind of fitting into that category these days, whether I like it or not. Um, I did do some checking up. I did some digging around. I can't. No, that's. Is that it? No. Skip it. Um, I did do some digging around, and they say that once you're done with chemo, after the time that you've been on chemo and everything, and the neuropathy has taken its full effect, once you're removed from chemo or the component that causes the neuropathy, it takes between 3 and 6 months for it to really wear off, and you can get feeling back in your hands and your feet, your the calves in your legs. Because I can't, my calves can't feel anything either. Everything below the knees, all the way to my toenails, no feeling, nothing. So, um, let's see, what can you do? If you use metal silverware, you, I don't know how it affects you. I can only speak for myself, but for myself, I don't use metal silverware. I use plastic. I use strong plastic. You want to use that flimsy stuff that people use at picnics all the time? No. Use durable plastic silverware like this. This is good, and you might want to stock up on some of that because for one thing, they're dense. They can they're sturdy. They can hold a good bite, and they have forks, spoons, knives. The knives, not so much, but the spoons and forks that are anything like this are really good. They can, they're really durable and everything. I mean, this one's a little bit deformed. I accidentally did something with a cup of mac and cheese, and it just hasn't been the same since. But I still I still use it. It's a great little spoon. Kind of has a Darth Vader look to it now, but it still works. Yeah, that's the last time I do that. Um, another thing, like nail clippers, fingernail clippers, toenail clippers, whatever. Anything that's metal, I can't help but want to address this. Anything that's metal hurts. I don't know what it is about it, but as you can see, I can I had to put band-aids on my nail clippers so I would be able to clip my nails, which unfortunately is a struggle because it takes me over an hour to clip my fingernails and toenails too. But the metal hurts so much I had to put band-aids on the places where I hold the clippers at. And this actually does help to allow some insulation against the metal. And that's true. Your fingers will probably slip up onto the metal part. It doesn't happen to me very often, so I'm able to use them with the band-aids on like this, and it works for me. But once they're off the band-aids and onto the metal part, that really hurts. Like this is right now, this hurts. This putting my fingers on here like this, that hurts. It really does. It is not funny. Not fun at all. And it's the same thing with change. I try to keep a couple of dollar bills because the change hurts too. And it's not just nickel, it's copper also. I can't handle change very well. Can't make my fingers close around the change. Can't even hand change to anybody. So I just try to keep dollar bills in my wallet. as few as I have, as broke as I am right now. But if I can do that and I can use those instead of change, it works, you know. So uh, let's see. What else? What else? It's 9:32. Uh, neuropathy. If you're having a rough time with neuropathy, like I am, and your feet feel completely useless, do not feel bad about taking a lot of time to go from point A to point B when you're walking. Don't feel bad about it. It's okay. It takes me forever to walk from my room to the kitchen in this house, and it feels like it takes forever. What normally is just a minute to get there now feels like 3 or 4 minutes, and for me that's a long time because I don't have the I don't have the full cooperation of my body, of the of my feet and my hands. So and also neuropathy kind of makes your sense of balance a little wonky, you know. So if you have a cane like I do, then whatever you do, do not be ashamed of using your cane if you have one. I like my cane. If it takes you a few minutes to get from your bedroom to your kitchen, or if it takes a little bit longer to get to your bathroom, that's okay. Let it take as long as it needs to. I mean, make the point of getting there, yes, but if it takes you a couple of extra minutes, it's all right. It's not anything to be ashamed of. It's not anything to feel bad about. It's cancer. It's cancer. It's chemo. It's neuropathy. It sucks, but you should you should do whatever you can to do what you need to do. And if you can't do something, then ask somebody for your help, for their help. And if you have a cane, use a cane. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no shame in it. I've been using this for a pretty good while now, and it's just it really is a basic part of my everyday activities. I don't have a problem with it. Um, I have no problem with it whatsoever. And if you're going through this too, then you need to get over whatever shame you might think you would feel about using a cane. Get past that. Do whatever you can to help get you from point A to point B and then back again, back to point A. Because everybody wants to be in one piece. And if a cane will help you feel like you're in one piece and you're making progress with what you're needing to do and what you have to do, hey man, do it. Get used to it. Deal with it. Let it be part let it be part of your everyday life. I got to do the same thing. I'm going to be using this most likely for, I don't know, maybe another year, the way my treatments are going. Uh, it's awfully hard to say right now, but I'm trying to be realistic about the whole thing. So yeah, I'll probably be using it for another year. Oh, let's see. What else? You got anything to say about this? I'm sorry. It's it's not poisonous, I promise. It's just little wooden head. What squinky eye? uh, okay, let's see. Neuropathy, neuropathy. I think I've covered about as much as I can. Which unfortunately doesn't seem like very much. Um, I don't know, man. I'm running out of, I'm running out of smoke. um, the only thing I can think of to add to that is when it, when when you're going through this, when you're going through chemo and you're going through neuropathy, you realize that you get colder, uh, whether it's hot or whether it starts getting cold outside in the fall. Um, Honestly, if you want to try to help keep yourself warm while going through chemo, I do suggest wearing dark colors to try to help keep heat, um, to try to help keep your body warm. If you and not only that, but also if your back hurts a lot, the way mine does, um, try to wear t-shirts a size larger than what you're used to. The reason for this is so they don't rest on your back and don't put any pressure on your back because for some reason your back will hurt no matter what you put on it. But shirts like this, Fruit of the Loom shirts are great because they don't put any added pressure on your back and they don't put any added pressure on your stomach, which has been a great relief for me. Um, Especially if we might be talking about your tailbone or the small of your back, way down there, like just above uh, just above your tailbone. For some reason, that area always hurts, and there's very little that you feel like you can do about it. But the truth is, if you wear these loose shirts like this, they will keep the pressure off. They'll keep the pressure off on your back and on your stomach, and you won't feel like you're in quite so much pain. And it does actually work. It's been working for me ever since this whole thing started. It doesn't mean that you'll have to go to the bathroom any less, like I do. I mean, I got to go when the body says go. I go. I don't argue with it. It won't. Wearing loose fitting shirts does not mean that you won't decrease how many times you go to the bathroom in a day, but they can help. It doesn't. It doesn't add um, any more stress to your back. And I think that's great. I think that's really important. So if you can afford, just even just a handful of these of Fruit of the Loom T-shirts, get nice dark color ones, uh, like black. Black really helps keep the heat inside, and it does help do that. And it would be a good idea because, hey, man, if you're on chemo and you're having to deal with neuropathy, and winter is on the way now, kids. Hate to point that out. I'm going to hate to go through that. but winter is definitely on the way. Fall is already, I don't know, fall is here, but it's already feeling like a little bit like winter, and I am not looking forward to that. This is the first winter that I'm really dreading going through with this. So no, I'm not looking forward to it at all. But whatever you can do to try to help warm yourself up, because with chemo you're gonna freeze. I freeze. I freeze a lot. I'm cold most of the time. And I know what you're thinking. You probably hear my fan in the back. Well, if you're cold all the time, why do you have a fan on? Because and this is my reason, because it helps circulate the air, and it's kind of a vacuum. I am not always cold in here. I'm not always cold in here. It helps the air circulate, so you get a comfortable mix of cool air and warm air coming in at the same time in that vacuum. It kind of moderates itself, if that makes any sense. And it circulates, and it provides me with a comfortable atmosphere back here. So if that helps you understand that, and I sure hope it does, because I'm really trying not to blow smoke with this, because it really does work that way for me, and that's why I keep the fan running all the time, so I can have that atmosphere back here, and it's comfortable. It's not just cool air; it's also a little bit of warm air, and it gets to be a little bit more warm air during the daytime. So I'm able to enjoy that, even though I am cold. I'm cold, but I get to enjoy that air as long as that fan keeps running. Because if anything happens to that fan, I'm gonna freeze. I really don't want to do that. All right. Uh, I think that's all I've got. I've exhausted everything, man. Uh, Okie dokie. That wasn't my phone. Never mind. Next time we'll talk about chemo pumps and the best way to sleep with a chemo pump on the bed. But we're going to save that for next time, because I want to try to demonstrate how to do that. Yes, I'll be wearing clothing. Don't worry about that. I'm not that kind of guy. But I want to be able to demonstrate how the how to maneuver a chemo pump when you're trying to sleep at night. So I'm going to show you that, for myself. Uh, that'll probably be on the 28th or the 29th. So November 28th or 29th. Keep that clear here. So, all right. As always, take care of yourselves. Do what you need to do. Keep the fight going. Love the people that love you and hold on to them. Because when you don't have family, you don't have much of anything. Okay? So, love and prayers to everybody. And please, God, let this end someday for all of us. In a healthy way, please. But cancer is not good, and neuropathy is even worse. So, all right, I'm out of here. I want to say that line, but I'm not going to do it. So, yeah, peace out. Oh God. Why do people do that? All right, everybody have a good night. Bye bye.